Today I'm going to show you how to make this no-knead bread because a friend of mine, Heather, was talking about making something like this one day on Facebook, and I think she ran into a problem, or I read her recipe and it seemed more complicated than it had to be. So I decided that I would, oh, timer's off, my yeast is ready. So, oh, what's that? I started some prep ahead of time. Anyway, this is an easier way to make no-knead bread. Has to rise. And I modified it from a recipe, and I've lost the original recipe, so now I can't tell you how to make it so that it's full of fat and calories. Sorry. Not really. Okay, so I've already measured everything out, but what you need is 1 package of active dry yeast, quick rise if you can, and you put about 1.25 cups of hot water in your mixing bowl, pour in the yeast, stir it up well so it dissolves, put saran wrap on it, and then let it sit for 15 minutes according to the recipe. The flours that I used this time, and I've made this many times and some of it was awful, so I think this is good. I used quinoa flour. Quinoa is an awesome grain that has most of the building blocks for protein, the most of any non-meat item. So quinoa flour is awesome. My friend Ellen told me it existed, so I went out and bought some. Quinoa, you can also use it like rice. And then I used whole wheat flour, Pillsbury Best. It's the one I use now because my favorite one was no longer on the shelves. So whole wheat flour, quinoa flour, and then the loose oat bran that if you've watched any other videos you've seen me use before, you should get that from a Whole Food store in a bin. Okay? So I used 3/4 cups of oat bran, so 3 of these. I used 102 grams of the whole wheat flour. I weighed it. It's approximately a cup, a little bit less, I believe. And I used 53 grams of the quinoa, which might be around 1/2 cup. But I'm telling you, when it comes to baking, the weight is the better. If you have a choice between a weight and a measuring cup, use the weight. So I put all of the flours in here, and I already mixed them with the fork. I'm going to get it all over myself. And the other ingredients are going to be some Splenda and applesauce. So it's 1/4 cup of applesauce and 1/4 cup of Splenda. I'm going to do the Splenda first so my cup doesn't get wet. So 1/4 cup of Splenda. I think that's what I was doing wrong before. It was kind of bitter. And 1/4 cup of applesauce. Then you pour in the yeast. So this is like your oil and sugar. And you use a whisk. It's really interesting. It's not that hard to make. It's not messy. Things don't stick to all your utensils. You don't have to put it on a board and use a rolling pin or anything like that. So my yeast was all dissolved. And the reason I have such a big bowl is because, whenever you make bread, you have to leave it rise. And they tell you to cover it up with a towel, so you can learn again from my mistakes. I was using a much smaller bowl, covering up with a towel, and then the dough was sticking to the towel when I pulled it off. Not only did it waste some of the dough, but it made it sink when I poured it off. So I'm just going to whisk my flour in. And the other problem I came up with was the last time I made it, it came out near perfect. And that's why I tried to hurry up and write down everything I did that day, because I'm bad to not write things down. And I think that I used 2 of these pans, and I borrowed the other one from my mother. So, because I've made it in a bigger pan also. And today at the store I thought I would get another one of that size, but there wasn't that option. There was the mini loaf pan option, and a 2-pound loaf option. So this is 1, this is 2. I bet this is a 1.5 pan. As you can see, this little one fits inside this pan, and this one fits inside that one, so neither one of them are right. I think I'm going to end up with 3 mini loaves. But if I were you, if you're doing this my way, I would use 2 of these. And I can't really read. You know, it's old. I don't know what it says. So we'll see what happens later. So this is stirred up pretty good. It is not, I mean, it's wet, but it's not running. Let's see. Too bad we can't zoom in. It's not runny. Now I'm going to put a towel over it, leave it in a warm place for an hour. Then I'm going to go to the pool. I won't be there for an hour, but I'll check back in with you afterwards. What we're going to do next is pour it in the pan, so we'll see the right amount, and then you let it rise for another 30 minutes, and then you bake it. So we'll do a cut and paste video on this one. So you mixed it up, you whisked it very well, and then get a clean hand towel, or we always call these a moppine. I don't know if that's really an Italian word or just what my Italian American mother caught from her real Italian, fully Italian mother. Okay, so I'm going to leave this to sit for an hour and come back, and I'll put it in the whatever pans I decide that it'll work, and we'll let it rise again. And this will be definitely a whole grain flour bread, which doesn't have any added fat, and you know, these flours have a lot of protein in them, so they'll be really healthy. The only thing you could question is the sugar substitute, and you know, sometimes people are surprised to see that I use something like Splenda, and all I can say is if we find out that Splenda kills you, I'll be dead twice. So I'm going to use Splenda.